Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is Ray, and you are tuning in to our episodes of Inspiration in Isolation. Today, I'm super excited to have a guest join me, and this is our guest, Darren Morton. Darren, say hi.
Hi!
Yes. Guys, you need to strap in right now because Darren is just a wealth of knowledge, but more so just a ball of energy. I've been blessed and been, very lucky to be able to sit in Darren's classes, be involved in some of his classes as well. Darren, let's just launch straight into it. Give us some of your, what's your current role and what's your background, and then that'll springboard us into the rest of our talk this morning.
Okay, so current role, I'm based at Avondale University College. I'm the director of the Lifestyle Medicine and Health Research Centre. I actually just changed role this year. Previous to that, I was the course coordinator and developer of the postgraduate courses in lifestyle medicine at Avondale. And so, look, I'm very much immersed in the whole wellbeing space, if you want that collective term, which is a term that's thrown around lots now. Maybe we can even talk about what that actually means. But
yeah, please do.
But specifically within that wellbeing space, there's a discipline referred to as lifestyle medicine, which is one of the fastest growing disciplines in healthcare, and the pointy edge of that space. So that's what I do at the moment. My background, wow, how far should we go back, Ray?
Well, maybe I can ask because I know a bit of your background. So you're a high school teacher. Let's just start with that.
Yeah, started off as training as a PE maths teacher.
And then from there you moved into...
So there, yeah, look, my real passion, I always had a great interest in exercise, and we obviously share that. But look, I think for me, and when I was younger, I've actually been here at Avondale at the university this is my 27th year. So wow. I've been doing this for some time now. But I think originally when I first started off early in my career, I had a great interest in more elite sport. And so my master's and my PhD was actually in sort of human physiology, but exercise physiology. Yeah. But I think over the years, I did a couple of transitions. The first transition was, whilst I was very interested in elite sport myself and supporting that.
And you are an athlete. So for those who are listening, Darren is a very humble dude. He is a super freak athlete. We have this competition at the university. I think it was called the gate run or something like that. And every year we would run it. This is while I was at university. And Darren would put this challenge down and said, hey, someone challenged me to beat me. No one. I've never seen anyone ever beat Darren. And I just thought this guy wasn't not human. And to this day, I still believe he's a cyborg. So, anyway.
I don't know what that means, but I'll take that possibly.
Anyway, jump back into your story. So you come from the sports science, physio,
Yeah, so that space, very interested in elite sport. But then what I realised is that there was bigger needs out there. And so I suppose my interest shifted from sort of more that top end elite sport for activity for the rest of us. And so I got more interested, I suppose, in public health and public health promotion. And then what I intuitively always knew, but it sort of dawned on me, is that why did I like to encourage people to be active and exercise? And the reason for that is that because it helps you feel better. It actually, empowers you to, I mentioned that whole well-being. How do we define?
Yeah, how do you define it? Yeah,
and it's a broad construct. We talk, and you hear the academics, boring researchers like myself. We talk about hedonic well-being, which is doing stuff to feel good, and we talk about eudaimonic well-being, which is sort of satisfaction with life and all the rest of it. But if you want to distill it all down, well-being, to my mind, is feeling good and feeling good about life. And what I recognise is that sort of being active is just one of the pathways to slot into that. It does make you feel good, and I really want that for people. But what I realise is that there are a whole lot of other things that also contribute to that as well. It's not being physically active. It's not just your diet. It's not just nutrition. There are a whole lot of things that we now know are very good for helping people to feel good and to feel good about life. And that's the space that's really consumed all my attention for the last probably 15 years or so now. So
Yeah.
We have a lot of research in that space. I've got PhD students working on projects and develop programs and interventions to essentially help people to be better in that space.
Yeah, and what I love about you, Darren, is and I guess I just want to affirm, like, Darren, you're a person that not only you talk the talk, but you actually live it. Like, if you're creating if you're a leader, a community leader in this well-being space, it's good to know that the person who's leading us is actually living by example. And hence why you see Darren's bike in the back there. He definitely would have ridden to work, or he would have ran. Because
well, I've got a confession to make there, because I do. I ride to work every day. But my students, they see me riding to work, and they go, "Wow, this is good." And then one time I took them as a group for a run. We do activity sessions with them.
Yes, I remember.
And it was only about 400 meters away from where we start. We're jogging along one of the creeks that sort of circumnavigates the university where I'm at, and we're on this track, and I point across the creek and I say, "Hey, everyone, see that? That's my house there." And I remember someone looking at me going, "Are you serious?" I said, "We thought you were like riding miles and miles and miles to work every day. You can basically roll there from your house." So yes, I do ride nearly every day, but it's not that far. But that's not the point.
But Darren, like you were saying, there are other things that people can do, not just movement. Obviously, the exercise, the fitness industry is jam-packed. But we have to move. You have to sign up for memberships. What are some other things? And I know that you're an author as well. You recently published a book. Share with us some of the insights of the book that you are, or the title.
Yeah. Okay. So let me say one thing about the movement thing, if I can, before we
yeah, please.
I actually think that one of the messages that we need to get out there is that physical activities, the movement, and I'm not using the word exercise, by the way, because to be honest, Ray, you, me, and perhaps many people that are watching this or listening in are not the norm. Like, I love to exercise. I do.
Yeah,
I know you
same.
love to exercise too. You know what? Most people don't. In fact, I travel around the world and I get to speak to many different audiences, and I often play a word association game with an audience. I'll say, "Okay, I'm going to say a word, and when I say the word, I want you to tell me the other words that instantly spring to your mind when I say it." And so I'll say to them, I play around with, chocolate, and it's like, "Yum!" These are the sort of words we get. And then I say, "Exercise." And what do you think? Actually, even you who are an enlightened creature, what do you reckon, Ray? What do you reckon is the most common word that people associate with the word exercise?
Probably, I'm thinking maybe painful or boring. Painful, I nailed it.
You nailed it. First one. And this is the reality. Most people associate exercise, the word exercise, with pain.
Yeah.
You know what? Aristotle told us, and I do a lot of work in the behavior change space.
Yeah.
But Aristotle told us about 2,000 or more years ago that we humans, pretty much, if you get to the heart of it, are motivated by pleasure or pain. We draw closer to things that give us pleasure, and we move further away from things that cause us pain. And so if exercise is pain, can you understand why so many people don't want to talk about it and definitely don't want to engage with it?
Yeah.
And so I've actually moved away. When I talk to community groups now, I don't even use the word exercise if I can avoid it. I generally talk about being active. And most people go, active? Oh yeah, that sounds a bit like I can do that. Like that's a bit more within my tolerance band.
It's a shift.
It's a shift. And so one of the messages that I say, and then we're going to talk about a lot of other things that we can do to feel better as well. But what we know is that physical movement, just moving, is one of the best things you can do to just feel better.
Yeah.
And the studies are really clear on this. So we actually know that certainly within 10 minutes, but probably less in even shorter period of time than that, just moving will actually improve your mood.
Yeah.
So this is one of the messages that I'm very big on communicating, is that yes, exercise, if we want to use that word, it's great for your heart. It helps with about 35 common ailments that people are suffering from nowadays. So the benefits are just, incredible.
Of course.
But at the heart of it, just moving more will make you feel better. And who doesn't want that? I mean, who doesn't want it? I don't know of one person that will ever put up their hand and go, nah, I'm not feeling better. Don't pick me, all right? So one of my messages nowadays is, look, if you have an aptitude towards exercise, fantastic, do it. I exercise every day. But if that's not you, just move in whatever ways you can.
Right.
So standing, I got a standing workstation.
Yeah, I was just going to comment, like, I don't ever known you as someone who sits around. Like, even now you stand.
Yeah, but I sit, this thing's adjustable. I sit lots too, but I stand. We know that standing is better than sitting.
Yeah.
We actually know that moving is better than standing. And then the more dynamically you can move, right? So, busting out your best dance moves as you go down the shopping aisle in Coles or whatever. Yeah, the more dynamically you can move, the better you'll be for your brain. It actually just helps you feel better. So, the short message is that physical activity is probably the most powerful and yet least utilized antidepressant we have available to us.
Wow.
And so we really need to be capitalizing on it. So look, physical activity and movement, please do it, people.
Yes.
Do it for your brains. It's really a really positive thing. However, there are many, many other evidence-based things that you can do that we know can help you feel good and feel good about life. And what that they're coming, these evidence-based strategies are coming from two disciplines, and these two disciplines are referred to as lifestyle medicine. Now, historically, just to give you the background here, lifestyle medicine is if you wanted to summarize what it is, it's about treating the cause of chronic conditions that plague us today. So, for example, we have known, heart disease as an example, or type 2 diabetes, much of type 2 diabetes, certain cancers. A lot of these conditions that most people suffer from today and die from today, we actually know are lifestyle related, right? They're related to the way people move or don't move, the way people eat, specifically what they eat, how they manage their stress levels, how much social connection they have in their life. So lifestyle medicine is this awakening that's happening in healthcare, where they've realised that, hey, you know what? If these conditions like heart disease and diabetes and all the rest of it are lifestyle related, if that's the cause of them, then maybe to address them, to manage them, to treat them, to prevent them, what we should be doing is treating the cause. In other words, helping to support people to change their lifestyles, because that's not our current paradigm of healthcare. We actually don't really have a healthcare system. What we have is a disease care system.
Wow.
And so what we do is we actually have people who have these conditions, and then we put some sort of Band-Aid on it. Right? The analogy that often is used in the lifestyle medicine world is that here is the cliff, and what we do is we have people constantly falling off the cliff, and so our approach is we park an ambulance down the bottom. And when they
hit rock bottom,
when they arrive in a mess, we have some great technology. We can stent, included, vessels in the heart. We can give people medications to help control their blood sugar levels. But what would make sense, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. What would be a better idea is all these people up the top of the cliff, get them to shuffle further away from the edge here, and then maybe even put a fence up. And so that's what lifestyle medicine is about. It's actually helping people to stop falling over the cliff, to move them away. And so lifestyle medicine, it's an amazing space. It's really taking off worldwide. We now have, there are about 40, nearly 50 associations, societies, colleges in lifestyle medicine in different countries around the world. They've actually set up the International Board of Lifestyle Medicine, which is a globally syndicating body that offers certification in lifestyle medicine to healthcare providers. And I was actually I was very honoured to be asked to be. I was one of the 4 people who wrote that exam for the International Board of Lifestyle Medicine. So look, lifestyle medicine is this fascinating space. But what's interesting about lifestyle medicine is that it's focused on physical conditions like the heart disease and the diabetes. Whereas what we're discovering is that the remedies that are very good, right, so good, in fact, that we know that heart disease is reversible. we know that type 2 diabetes is reversible now with the right kind of intensive therapeutic lifestyle change. If you change your nutrition, you change your physical activity levels. But what we know is that these principles, these lifestyle principles, are not just great for your body, they're also exceptionally good for your brain.
Yeah.
Right? They actually help you feel better.
Yeah.
Right? And once again, if well-being is feeling good and feeling good about life, we can learn a lot from lifestyle medicine about how to improve our well-being. So you got lifestyle medicine. Sorry, man, I get pretty excited about this.
No, please do. This is why I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, so if you want to jump in, you just do it. But
yeah,
we've got lifestyle medicine, which is taking off in the healthcare space. Then you've got this other discipline, right, which is called positive psychology.
Okay.
And it really started to kick off in the late sort of, was it 97? Professor Martin Seligman, he was sort of one of the fathers of positive psychology. But what psychology realised in the late 90s is that all that discipline was focused on was helping to mend misery, right? So, if you think of the sort of the mental health continuum, like, say, here's like a 0, right? I mean, no one really wants to be a 0, do they? But if there's a 0 and here's like a 10, which is like, you can't imagine life any better. What psychology had effectively focused on throughout history is actually getting people who are, even below a 0, in somewhere in that negative headspace, and just trying to get them up to normal, up to average, up to some sort of functional level. And, that's a worthwhile pursuit. What happened in the late 90s is that psychologists started to go, hey, wait a sec. You know what? Is that what we want psychology to be about? Just mending misery? Just getting people to be okay? What about we turn our attention to focusing on what people can do to do better than okay?
Wow.
To actually move into that positive space. And so that's really what birthed positive psychology. And in the last 2 decades, positive psychology, the research in this space has just been ramping up and rolling out. And there's some fascinating insights, once again, about things that we can do to actually be in a better place, to feel better, to do better than okay. Yeah. And so once again, we can then have these, so we have these 2 disciplines, lifestyle medicine, positive psychology, that really can inform about how to feel good and feel good about life. And so what intrigues me, and this is where my particular area of interest is that these 2 spaces, which have so much to contribute and share to lift the lives of people, they actually don't talk. It's bizarre, right? So I'm actually, and that's starting to change. We're seeing, evidence of change, but I'm like a chameleon. So this is what I do.
Yeah.
I go to lifestyle medicine conferences and I talk about positive psychology. And then I go to positive psychology conferences.
And you talk about lifestyle medicine.
Yeah, trying to bring these worlds together. And there are some other, good leaders in this space that are trying to do the same thing. But look, to my mind, this just needs to happen. People are struggling today. We've seen, but we now know, like in Australia, 1 in 10 Australian adults are taking antidepressants today, right? And that's doubled in the past decade. In the US, the stats are even worse. So the trajectory is going the wrong direction. People, I'm not against medications, by the way, at all. Modern medicine has some great technology, and we should take advantage of that. But what it says to me is that many, many people today are not living their best life. They're not.
Absolutely true.
They can't hold their hand on their heart and say, I'm feeling good and I'm feeling good about life. And we want that. Everyone's searching for that. So my mission in life is to share all of these evidence-based strategies, scientifically proven things people can do to realise greater levels of well-being.
Yeah, and one of the things that I enjoy about some of the things that I've learned from you and I've read about, I'm very fortunate to be able to sit in some of your lectures, that these are practical, tangible things that we can do. It's not hard. One of them is just going outside and seeing green, like looking at trees, being exposed to the sun. And in your book that I read, that's something I often, when I go around and I'm speaking, I share these gems. I shine light on the book and say, hey, if you haven't read this book, read it, but here's something I want to share with you. And people just can't believe something as simple as going outside and just being in the sun. You don't have to sunbathe. We're not asking you to sunbathe, but talk a little bit some of the tangible things that you've spoken about in the book.
Good call. Let's do it. So maybe I'll give a bit of a plug for the things that are available. So the book I wrote is called Live More Happy. But probably even more important than that is what I know is I've actually helped develop wellbeing interventions that are used in around about 20 countries around the world now. So, and we've had thousands of people do these things. But what I know is that books are helpful, but if you really want to be transformed by something, you need to make it experiential, right? It needs to be something you engage with. You can't just learn, you have to do, right? You have to put it in practice, and that's how we truly get transformed. So I actually have a online wellbeing program that I encourage people to do and connect in groups to do it, because we know that together feels better. That's one of the principles that I have. So that's called the LIFT Project, LIFT Project. So you can check that out at www.theliftproject.global. And actually pretty excited that's it's just been translated to Chinese. So
hey, wow.
It's being launched in China. It's operating in a couple of countries at the moment. But here are some of the things that I talk about.
Sure.
So let's start off with the lifestyle medicine space. We'll talk about some of the strategies we're learning from there, and then we'll look at the positive psychology. We've already spoken about physical activity and movement, and so the little catch cry, it's chapter 3, I think, in my book, I call motion creates emotion.
Okay.
And we know that how you move influences the way that you feel, and there's really good science for that. Read about it in my book or check it out. We know that food feeds your mood. Yep. So we have known for a long time that what we eat affects the progression of various different diseases. Now we know there's an intricate connection between your food and your emotional state, your mood. And it seems to be mediated through our guts, and in particular something that's contained in our guts, which is the gut microbiota. There's these little bugs, right, that we have. You know what, Ray? People need to know that some of their best friends are actually germs, right? And we need to get intentional about nurturing them.
1.5 meter distancing.
That's it. It's an important message. Most bugs live very symbiotically with us, and are actually can be very, very helpful to us. And that includes the bugs in our gut. And gut, by the way, isn't a slang term. Everyone goes, "Oh, surely you should be saying gastrointestinal tract or whatever." But there's actually an academic journal called Guts. It just seems really wrong when you go into the library and see these volumes of guts. Anyway, what we know is that contained within your guts are somewhere in the order of about 100 trillion bacteria. Now, that is an astronomically large number. It's actually probably around about 10 times more than the number of human cells that we have in our body. So what this means, you want something really uplifting for your self-esteem. I want to tell everyone that they are 10 times more microbe than you are human. Right? So, we talk about, the saying is that our bodies host these things. Yeah. Well, really, they sort of host us because they're tenfold more of them there. But anyway, what we know is that the health and well-being and the happiness of those bugs in your gut have these direct links back to the health and happiness of your brain.
Wow.
And so there's a very, very strong link between the state of your gut and the state of your mind. Your emotional state. And so, short answer, what we know is that those bugs in your gut, there is a particular nutrient that they love to eat that makes them happy and healthy, and the ingredient is fibre. So what we know is that people need to be consuming more fibre. It's really fascinating, and you coming from an exercise world, you'll know that we're always, you have these, there's always this strong plug for protein. Eat more protein. Well, what I want to tell you is that that's fine and well, I get it, yeah, that's great. But do you know that protein deficiency is just almost non-existent? Like it's less than 2 to 3% of the population don't get enough protein. And generally they are only people who have some sort of eating disorders, or you're not having a varied diet, not eating enough calories. If you're eating enough calories, pretty much you're getting enough protein to sustain what you need to do. So it fascinates me that about 97% of the population are getting more than enough protein, possibly even too much protein. And yet we always are getting this message, eat more protein, eat more protein. Yet, get this, 97% of our population don't eat enough fibre. When was the last time you saw, a big sign, eat more fibre, right? It's harder to sell, there's not as much of a market for it because fibre is just found in whole plant foods. So it's a pretty simple message, eat more fruit and veggies, eat more beans, legumes, eat more whole grains as long as you don't have intolerances to those things. It's the best thing you can do. And the studies are very, very clear now that when people do that, when they get more intentional about including more whole plant foods in their diet, which is what there's no fibre in any animal product, so that's plants are the pick. You need to put a plant slant to your diet. When people do that, they feel better. Yep. And it's interesting, there's actually studies showing a 1 day lag between when you consume more fruits and vegetables and how you feel. So, and the reason for it, that those fruits and the fibre has to get, there's a gut transit time. It takes about a day or so to get through, makes the bugs happy. They send the happy, good vibes back to your brain and you feel better for it. So the point is, food feeds your mood. So little things you can do is eat more fibre.
Great.
We actually know studies show that you get your optimal happiness benefits by consuming around about 8 serves of high fibre foods a day or more. So I say, eat eight fistfuls of fibre. That's what you're going for each day, 8 fistfuls. Although there's studies actually show, this is amongst university students, just getting them to consume 2 more serves a day has a significant influence on their mental state and mood.
Wow.
And other things like creativity, motivation. It's really fascinating, that relationship. So, lifestyle medicine space, motion, move more. Food feeds your mood. So, consume more high fibre foods. Sleep, I won't talk too much about it, but I don't think there's a person alive that will tell you that, when I don't sleep much, I just feel great. Right? It doesn't go that way. We know that prioritising sleep is probably one of the most important things that we can do for our mental well-being. Only from the point of view that if you don't have to go for very long without sleep and you feel lousy. Right? You just ask the God. Do you know what the world record is for going without length of time for going without sleep?
2 days, surely.
2 days. Keep going.
7?
Keep going.
What? 15.
Not quite. 11 days.
That's incredible. 11 days.
That was Randy Gardner, and it was back in the 1960s. So he did.
Why would you do that?
He did it as a college student for a science experiment for one of his classes.
I'm pretty sure he would have got the top grade after that.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently his writing was illegible. So no, I don't know. But yeah, so he went for that period of time. Within about 3 days, you will be hallucinating. And you'll be, there's all lots of strange stuff going on. And unremarkably, you feel rubbish. So look, prioritise sleep. And we know that people aren't doing that. You need to rest to feel your best.
Rest to feel your best, yeah.
One of the best things you can do, there are a few enemies to sleep at the moment in our current society. One of them, well, perhaps not surprisingly, relates to the downturn in physical activity levels.
Yeah.
We're not active enough throughout the course of the day. So being active in the morning is a really good, can promote good sleep. The other one is the widespread use of stimulants, particularly caffeine. So we have this, now we actually know that for people who are sensitive to caffeine, that caffeine will stimulate your brain for around about up to 14 hours or so. So even if it's sort of a midday coffee, if you're sensitive, that can keep you, can affect your sleep cycles. But the big thing is night light pollution. And so we now know that around over 99% of the world's population is exposed to what we call night light pollution, essentially artificial light, particularly in the form of blue screens. There you go. And what we know is that the blue spectral frequency of light actually wakes your brain up, tells your brain it's morning time. And so this is why, if you're doing that at night time, your brain's just getting sleepy and all of a sudden you start staring at this thing that's emitting blue light, and your brain goes, oh, I thought it was nighttime, but I must have got it wrong. And so next thing you know, you're insomnia and you can't sleep. So prioritize sleep. So you need to rest for your best. But the other thing that's coming, there's a lot of really fascinating stuff from the lifestyle medicine, this area, but food feeds your mood, motion creates emotion, you rest for your best. But the whole idea of what you alluded to is outdoor spaces, and vitamin N, or vitamin nature, we now know is very, very powerful for mental health. The saying that I have is, and it's one of the chapters in my book, is blue and green should often be seen. And what we know is that when people are out in natural environments, blue, green spaces, I'm looking out my window here. You want to see my window? Look at this.
Yeah, please do.
There you go. Look at it. Great.
Look at that.
And I love being set up here where I'm exposed to this, and particularly natural light.
Yes.
We now know that getting outside and exposing to bright natural light, not staring at the sun, by the way, so don't do that. Right. But being exposed to bright natural light is very, very good for your mental health, to the point where bright light exposure is being used as a treatment for depression, and has been shown to be as effective as antidepressant medications. So blue and green should often be seen. So that's some of the things that you can do that's emerging from the lifestyle medicine space. I'll just quickly say a few things about the positive psychology space.
Yeah.
What we know within the positive psychology space is what you focus on affects how you feel.
Yeah.
And so one of the takeaways there is just train your brain, condition your brain, get better at practicing positive focus. Think of positive things in the past, in the present, and in the future. And so that involves things like taking time to reflect on things that you're truly grateful for.
Yeah.
And really give that good headspace. Actually know that when you focus on that sort of stuff, it activates your prefrontal cortex, which then influences which is involved in emotional regulation, pretty much influences the limbic regions in your brain, which is your emotional brain. And so what we know is that within the positive psychology space, practicing gratitude, expressing gratitude, writing in things you're grateful for, incredibly powerful for helping people to feel better. And the reason for it is that what gratitude does, focusing on gratitude, expressing gratitude, shifts your focus from what you don't have to what you do.
What you do have, yeah. It's been one of my practices, Darren. Like often when my morning routine would be, I'd go for a walk, I'd do some reading, and if I have a shower, but afterwards, I write down what I'm grateful for, either in the morning, or I can do it in the evening as well, like just before I go to bed. And I found it just anchors me for the day, or just gives me a good feeling of being grateful, of knowing that while I'm in this isolation period, I am still grateful for health. I'm still grateful for my family. I'm still grateful for food. So all these things and I so resonate with that, because that's a daily practice and again, it's a routine, and you have to make it a regular thing. And so with that, I know that's definitely been a benefit for myself.
Yeah, it is. It's incredibly powerful, and it's simple. And you think, and people often are dismissive of positive psychology strategies because they go, it's just like pop psychology. But what we can tell is that the architecture of your brain is designed to work this way. Yeah. And so when you do these things, we actually need to know that if you get intentional about doing this and force yourself and practice it, that your brain etches new pathways, so you get better at doing it, right? The whole brain plasticity, neuroplasticity. You change the architecture of your brain. So, focusing on things you're grateful for, focusing on things that are going well. There's actually an exercise in positive psychology they call What Went Well. Yeah. At the end of each day, write down 3 things that went well that day.
What went well.
And then I think the other thing is, gratitude's about focusing on the positive in the past. What went well is about what's going positive in the present. And the whole future positive orientation, I think at a time like this in particular, is very, very important. And there is a lot of research, a lot of science coming through showing the value of having something that you're excited about.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I tell people, one of the tragedies of getting older is that we tend to lose this ability to get excited.
Yeah.
And don't do that. Don't grow out of that. So my encouragement to everyone is have stuff that you're excited about, even if it's just small little things that are on the horizon. You know, when you have something that you're anticipating, you're looking forward to, it just lifts and can give you a regular lift. The other thing that sort of, you know, relates to that too is the whole idea of hope.
Yeah.
There's a lot of literature in the hope space, which, you know, it was Snyder that really started looking at hope theory. But what we know is that hope is about having positive expectations about the future and a sense of agency that you can get there. Yeah. And so, and look, to my mind, the most tragic word in the human dictionary is hopelessness.
Yeah.
Because hope is literally life-giving, and lack of it can be life-taking. And so, so I think, you know, even particularly at times like this, you know, recognise that in the words of John Lennon, he said, if in the end it'll be okay, and if it's not okay, well, it's not the end. You know, so hang in there, hang in there. You know, have positive expectations about the future. Yeah. We have hope. So, you know, positive psychology, they spend a lot of time on, you know, positive focus, thinking about the right things. But one of the other things I want to say that fascinates me, and from the worldview that I come from, just resonates and aligns so well with what I've always known anyway, but the science is coming through and the research is demonstrating this so clearly. And that is that, and the term, the chapter title I have for this is Giving is Living.
Yeah.
And that is, you know, in the words of, well, you know, as I said, probably the father of positive psychology, Professor Martin Seligman, he says, of all the exercises, of all the strategies that we've ever tested, doing a kindness produces the single most reliable increase in happiness of any exercise we've ever tested. Wow. I mean, that's in his words. And so this is after hundreds of studies. You know, what we know is that it's like humans are actually just knit into the fabric of who they are, right? There's something inside us that just tells and says to us, like Abraham Lincoln said, when I do good, I feel good.
Feel good.
So I actually believe that there's almost a law that governs our emotional state, and that is that you reap what you sow. So if you purposefully and intentionally drag other people down, and we meet people who do this,
yeah,
you know what? Generally, they're miserable people, right? They when you drag someone down, you go down with them. Whereas if you intentionally and purposefully lift other people up, then you'll go up with them as well.
Yeah.
Because actually, there's an ancient Quaker proverb that says, "I'll lift thee, and you'll lift me, and we'll ascend together." And the science that's coming through is testifying to the truth of that. So, you know, what I want to say is that, you know, Ray, what you're doing here, you know, obviously you're in isolation. It's no fun. It's not fun. And
I'm trying to make it as fun as possible.
Well, that's it. But where's your mind going to? It's like, hey, you know, what can I do to actually lift other people in this situation?
Yeah.
And I'm going to surmise that does something for your well-being.
It does. It does. It's made me feel like I'm contributing to empowering and making people's lives better just by sharing stories and collaborating with people. And so I know that people are going to be impacted by this, and obviously it makes me feel good knowing that, hey, I've added value to their life.
Yeah, I love it. And see, that's what I would encourage everyone who's listening is, how do you do that? How do you realize that? And it's different ways. Get creative with this. You know, one of my favorite passage, I love to memorize inspirational quotes and sayings, and this is one of my favorites to live by. Have it on my office door. It says, make a careful exploration of who you are and the work you have been given, and then sink yourself into that.
Yeah.
Don't be impressed with yourself. Don't compare yourself with others. And then this is the clincher. Each of us must take responsibility for doing the creative best we can with our own lives. And I think, you know, I would say to everyone now,
wow,
get creative. I know. You're thinking, so what can I do? Well, I don't know. But you get creative. Think about it. And in what way can you do something to have a measurable and meaningful impact in a positive way on the lives of others? The extent to which you do that will actually give you a lift as well. It's probably the most important and beneficial thing you can do for your well-being. Why does it matter so much? Is because what it gives for us, and this is what in the positive psychology space we're discovering, what it gives is a sense of meaning to your life.
Right.
And the definition of meaning, in fact, there's a great book, if you want to read it, called by Emily Estefani-Smith. And she talks about the 4 pillars. How do we get meaning in our life? This is what we're all searching for. And essentially there seems to be 4 things that contribute to that. It's about having a sense of belonging to, and serving something bigger than yourself, right? Whether it be a cause or whatever it might be. It's about engaging in storytelling. And you used that word just a moment ago. You said, I love sharing stories, because then we understand that our stories are part of a bigger story, right? And we're in this together. Once again, it fosters that belonging. And then the last thing that leads to a sense of meaning is transcendent moments, that moments of awe. And people realise and experience them in different ways. But yeah, so the punchline is that probably of all the things I've spoken about, coming from lifestyle medicine, the food feeds your mood, motion creates emotion, rest to feel your best, blue and green should often be seen. And then the positive psychology space, things like feelings follow your focus. And I didn't talk about some of the other things that they're discovering in there too, but it almost seems the thing that you can do that trumps the most is somehow contribute, make an impact. And so get creative.
I love it. Creativity, contribution, that really helps our community. So Darren, if people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do it? Do you have websites? Do you have an email? What's the easiest way for them to find you, whether it be on social media as well?
Yeah, so I'm actually not a great social media, but I need to be. I actually do have a Facebook page, Dr. Darren Morton. You're welcome to check out. I'm intending on getting more intentional about posting stuff on that. And in fact, this year I will be creating, through the university here, we're going to be creating a lot more content relating to wellbeing and things that can do to help harness that. Probably more. I have my website, which is drdarrenmorton.com. But for those, my real heart at the moment are for people and families who are pretty much in lockdown. I think that what's making my heart break is look, the coronavirus is the health impacts of that are not nice. But the more devastating effect is going to be the economical impact and the mental health burden that will come from this. I think, my message of there are simple things that you can do to feel better today, and some of them work as quick as that. I think it's needed more than ever. So I have a real burden for people engaging with this stuff. So the best thing you could do if you're interested in this, I would love for people to do this individually, but more importantly with their family. I think there's an opportunity for an intentional focus on family wellbeing as a family unit. And so I would encourage you to get onto my website, which is www.theliftproject.global and sign up.
I'm going to do that with my family. So I've done bits and pieces before. Now I'm really keen to do it. Now we're in this lockdown isolation, sort of like everyone is like been encouraged to stay home. That's the new tagline. So that's something that I'm going to invest in, and I know that I'm going to do with my family. Well,
look, I'm biased. I'm completely biased, of course, because I created this thing. But the Lift Project, it took me it's been 15 years in the making. We've done the randomized controlled trials. We know that it has significant impact and improvements in people's, mental well-being. I don't know of anything out there that's as comprehensive in terms of looking at wellbeing. That's pitched in a fun and positive way. And so it's certainly something families could engage with. There's video presentations where I deliver it. What I want to say if anyone's interested in that, when you go on the site, use the coupon code. Maybe I'll share it with you anyway, Ray.
Yeah, sure.
Coupon code LIFT#25 to get a 25% discount off the price.
Awesome.
And what I want to tell people is that the Lift Project is actually a profit for purpose. So it's profits are used to support other initiatives that help people in need. Essentially, it's set up to help support human health, happiness, and hope. It's the kind of thing that can be used by families, by individuals, by organisations. If you have any interest in that, check it out. The Lift Project, www.theliftproject.global. That's it.
Well done. Thank you, Darren. And again, Darren, you can just hear and just see the way that he is, that he is a person of influence, but also impact as well. Thank you for, again, you're using your creativity to be able to contribute to our community. And so if ever you want to get in contact with Darren, I'll provide the links in the video below, in our YouTube, as well as on Instagram as well. But yeah, thank you again, Darren, for your time. I know you're a busy man. And yeah, looking forward to seeing a lot more people in our community. If we can get them access to this resource, I know that we'll be able to lift people into a better space coming out of COVID-19. So appreciate it. Thank you again, Darren. Goodbye.